valued the Morgan. So have NRG. I think this is going to be either a ban or a first pick, regardless of the rest of the meta. These two individual teams love that choice.
Any really skilled team seems to really like the Morgan, and these two in particular, you're right, I wouldn't be surprised if that was a priority pick, because it dictates not only what your team has potential to pick, but what the enemy team has potential to pick as well. It's so difficult to work around. Could be a big reason why we see the Circuit ban as well. If this is going to be a Morgan style of game, Circuit is one of those ultimates that you really don't want to give the Morgan an option to use.
Yeah, double Circuit, things like double Hun Bats, even though I don't think we're going to see a ban here, double Hun Bats becomes really problematic. We've even seen the double Kamazots really come out just for the super tower diving potential. But it's going to be Artio and Circuit banned out by Team Dignitas, and then NRG gets rid of Kronos and Scotty, leaving Erlang Shen.
First pick, and I believe is exactly what Rival did in the first set of today. Erlang Shen is just incredibly versatile. He can play 3 different roles, all to a very high level. Mostly jungle and solo, but still has that potential to go into the support role. And if Raffer's going to continue with these aggressive supports like he did in week number 1, then this could be a good fit for NRG.
Cullen on the other side for Team Dignitas. Likely to be the hands of Variety, especially after seeing the Nemesis pick. I'm almost entirely sure. Variety does play some weird stuff, but not assassin style, more the maid style over there in that solo lane, and recently been warrior-centric. So Cullen and Nemesis for the solo and jungle respectively. And then NRG are the ones that win the Morgan sweepstakes. We'll see that likely in the mid lane, question mark?
Definitely in the mid lane for Yemen. I don't think there's any way that NRG is putting that anywhere other than their star mid laner's hands. And Huyi as well for Emilito. I really like what NRG's drafted thus far. But at the same time, I really like this Nemesis pick for Dignitas. I mean, if NRG is going to go Erlang Shen in the jungle, you're already kind of cementing yourself into multiple warriors. And then Nemesis gets even more targets to choose from. Plus, with their recent changes, giving a little bit more power to Slice and Dice, taking a little bit away from that ultimate, you're kind of... While you still shred warriors very, very well, it's more of a traditional assassin where Nemesis actually has pressure in the early game now. It's difficult to not get poked out by Nemesis anymore. And so you can kind of plug in Nemesis, not just against tanky compositions now.
Raijin, just one day pulled out, and now all of a sudden he's fantastic. Another pick for the big drum guy playing over there in the mid lane, most likely for Team Dignitas. The Monkey is banned out, with the Morgan being picked over by NRG, as is Kamazots, so believe it or not, we know what we're talking about sometimes. And then Fafnir and Jingwei going to be banned out by NRG, leaving Dig with Terra and NRG to give Adapting the very traditional Thor.
Dignitas was kind of between a rock and a hard place. Do we pick Terra ourselves and give NRG the option to use Terra's Blessing, or do we just give them Terra and give them the opportunity to use 2 Terra's Blessing? So it's one of those situations where when you're playing Poseidon and you see an Aegis, you're like, I don't want to crack in that guy. But you have to crack in that guy, or else you never get the Aegis off. Smart choice by Dig, saying, yeah, it kind of stinks, but we're going to pick it anyways.
Yeah, so we're going to have a buggy game today.
Oh,
thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. AMC going to be the last selection. He's a bug. Get it?
Not in the mid lane this time. At least most likely. Could be Raijin ADC. I mean, we've seen Raijin jungle. What isn't possible these days? But it is Arkil on the AMC. And AMC really having a resurgence. And honestly, this makes a lot of sense to me. ADCs get so much farm these days. They are left alone on an island. They don't get any pressure. When was the last time you saw a jungler gank duo lane before even 18 minutes or something like that? Adapting needs to come over here and shut down Arkil on this AMC, because this is a good matchup for him if he gets pressure. Emilito doesn't have a CC immune ultimate. His jump, while quick, can be pulled down by that stinger. You will have that cripple effect. And Arkil has excellent clear in the early game. Huyi is good enough, but not AMC level. I mean, no one really is. So Arkil will get pressure in this lane if left alone. It's just a matter of, will Adapting come over and help Emilito out in this matchup?
That's the big question, and Adapting has what it takes. I mean, really, that's the reason that we don't traditionally see a lot of AMC, is because he's easily killed. But when you're going to be adapting with a wall, well, there's no getting out of there. So I agree. I think that we need to see a shutdown of the AMC.
Look at where Trickstank is. He's alone on the left side of the map, and look at where Arkil is. He's in mid lane. He cleared the wave, and now he's on Fire Elementals with his mid laner. I love this from Dignitas. Terra's level 1 clear, bad. just straight up not very good. AMC's level 1 clear, phenomenal.
Yeah.
So that's where you put him to be that extra push pressure. Between Raijin and AMC, no one is out clearing that mid lane pressure, and this gives Zeros the option to move around. This gives Arkil an opportunity to move around. Both buffs still up on the left-hand side. Oracle's still up on this left-hand side. Now these two can come over, grab these up for free, and you're not under a lot of pressure, especially with adapting starting in the solo lane.
Oh, Maniac. Falling down, Variety and Cuvo Fred able to get the upper hand, and I'm absolutely with you on that one. You know, I've been saying for a couple of weeks now rather loudly that, you know, you don't get to the #1 position by following the leader. You've got to forge your own meta. But at the same time, you don't just do weird stuff for weird stuff's sake. There's a reason you combine the gigantic clear of the Raijin and the Bumblebee, and you're able to just push out. That's why we see them get the Oracles. If Arkle starts over here in this dual lane, Ryan, I mean, what happens? It just winds up being a wash.
More or less a wash, yes. Now, Dignitas could have tried to stack AMC and Terra on this left-hand side and invaded these buffs on the left, not allowing Emilito to find them by himself. And there is a downside. Emilito does get more XP this way. He should be a little bit ahead of Arkle in that department, but this puts Zeros ahead. And this gives Trickstank a lot of free farm as well. He's up a level right now over top of Raffer on the other side. He's got a little bit of extra XP per minute, a little bit of extra net worth as well. So this gets Trickstank a little bit farther ahead. Arkle will be behind in XP for about a wave or two,
right.
But once he starts getting the solo farm, which should be right around now, then he'll be able to catch up fairly quickly.
So as we see the Rangdos mask coming out from Yaman, this is a risk versus reward, and if you've been following the Pro League for a long time, you know how I felt about old Heartseeker. Y'all know how I feel about Doom Orb. I like risk versus reward, but Rangdos mask hasn't done it for me recently.
But there's not a lot of risk involved. You spend the 500 gold, so you're behind in your build, but it's only 500 gold, and if things start going really south with it, you sell it for 333 gold, and you really didn't spend that much on it. I really like this item. I think that it's about time we start to see it in competitive play because it has every single stat every damage character wants. Movement speed, penetration, cooldown. Sign me up. Yes, it takes a little bit to get there, and you may never get it, but to spend 200 gold to get a little bit of extra movement speed and cooldown reduction, sure, I'm a fan of that.
Yeah, I mean, it winds up, and I know you bring up the point that, sure, you can sell it back for virtually everything that you got. You know, I get that. It's just a lot of times you're delaying your build by important items. I mean, the mage needs to get online sooner rather than later. Otherwise, he's going to get hit up by the jungler.
You're not wrong, because that early game is very, very important as Adapting comes over and gets some revenge on that solo lane onto Variety, combining with Maniac, only one ultimate used in that scenario. In the early boots and the second item, very, very important on the Morrigan, but in any mage for that matter. But the early game, the Morrigan's not going to do a whole lot for you anyways. You pick the Morrigan to go into the late game. Now, if this was Zeros getting it, I'm probably saying to myself, he needs to get a big lead in this scenario to make it worth picking up this Rangda's mask. But on the Morrigan, you're playing for late game anyways. May as well go all in for that.
That's fair. With that in mind, understanding that mages aren't all one size fits all, I'm a little bit more open to it. Still not a #1 fan, but you know what? You're winning me over piece by piece, Aggro.
That's all it takes, man. One at a time. We'll get you on the Rangda's mask. Next, you'll be saying, man, mid laners don't get enough farm. We should try and buff all mids. Next thing you know, Zeus is going to have a stun back.
So Sobek over here in the mid lane going to get stunned out by the Terra player, Trickstank. A little bit of trouble there. So Terra going to be in a different spot pretty soon. Right now the Gremlin's being wrestled over. We'll talk about Terra in a moment. Variety looking to zone out Yaman here. Does so successfully. We're saying goodbye to her root in a future patch. How do you think that's going to affect how highly contested this character is?
She still has Terra's Blessing, and she's still competitively viable. That's all you need to know. I mean, that ultimate is so good that it certainly will hurt her. The CC potential that she has, that's guaranteed. That's what's so potent about her combination, is that the 2 is guaranteed off the 3-1 combo. Everything is guaranteed off the root. Now you're going to have a harder time confirming that Crushing Earth, and that is going to make Terra, I think, a little bit less prioritized. I don't think she'll be one size fits all, but if you have a team that needs a little bit of additional safety, needs a little bit of extra aggression potentially, needs a little bit of extra sustain, Terra's going to be a great option. It just won't be, yeah, we need to support. Terra's great.
Nice ultimate by Maniac. It's going to heal him up right there. Variety might have been able to handle that if that heal didn't come through. It did, and Variety still might be able to handle it, and that's exactly what he does. Under the tower, no fear whatsoever. Solo laner for Team Dignitas takes care of business. But now Raffer with the big boy slow, looking for revenge here. Pops down Variety to about a hair of HP. Tail whip is good. Sickening won't confirm. Adapting misses both the ult and the hammer.
That was Yaman. That was Yaman who had changed into adapting, which makes a lot more sense as to why the accuracy wasn't there. Now Raffer gets caught out, and Zero is going to crush him down with some barrels. Adapting wouldn't have missed that. Come on.
I love that play. I'm glad I messed that up because that shows. So NRG dropped Yaman and Raffer, and that's not a good look. But what I loved about the thought process of that play, it didn't wind up in their favor.
No.
They're going to toss take it.
Yep.
But I love that 2 Thor ults come out at the same time. Watching the game, and this is one of the biggest differences about watching the game versus playing the game. You're an ex-player. What's going on in comms?
Thor dunked me on right. Wait, Thor's in my lane. What do you? What? That's basically what you hear in a situation like that, and that's what I thought. I mean, when we went over to Thor on the left-hand side of the map, I was like, "What?
It's a buggy game."
Did we see some weird thing? Yeah, I mean, yes, AMC's in the dual lane. Yeah, I got it. Okay.
I enjoyed it.
That makes one of us.
You?
No, if you enjoyed it, and only one of us enjoyed it, I can't be enjoying it.
I don't know about that one. You gotta figure out your math, dude. We all exist on like the same multi-platform plane. One is just a number, but what does it actually mean?
I'm not.
It's the amount of kills that NRG has right now. That's what it means. That's what you should have done.
Thank you, yes.
Dignitas have 4. But my point being was that the muddied up comms is such a really big deal that the Morgan can bring when because you're operating on split-second notification. When you hear Thor up or Thor ult, right, you're not having a full conversation, a full statement. You're saying Thor ult, Thor left. Immediately you say, I'm safe to do X because Thor is not here. In that split second, you get Thor ulted, and you want to yell at your teammate. What are you talking about? There's 2 of them. NRG had the right idea. It goes Dignitas' way. They get multiple kills, but that's the type of play that I love to see, and I think that's why NRG has been such a successful team, because they think about these things, and that wasn't a mistake. That wasn't happenstance, that adapting and Yaman Thor ulted at the same time. That was by design.
Well, not only that, but it's the fact that Variety, even despite Arkill probably telling him, yeah, Thor's on my lane, you're fine, still reacts to the Thor dunk at the same time. I mean, that's just instinct taking over. You're not thinking about, well, that can't be Thor ult because he's on the other side of the map. That's just, I saw the preview, and I don't want to get hit by that, so I'm going to react. It was a very quick reaction. Going all in by Yaman. If he doesn't throw the hammer, he's probably safe, but by going for the kill right away, just a little bit ambitious.
It's a nice way to put it.
Thank you.
Ambitious. Raffer. I like when Raffer plays these aggressive supports. Sobag, not the only one. Sometimes we see Raffer play. We've even seen Raffer play Ares. The Ymir is one of my favorites to watch Raffer play. His ability. People always say that Raffer kind of just like baits himself out. The enemy team collapses, and then NRG respond real well. I think there's a lot more thought process that go into it. And when you see him play these aggressive supports, you can really watch it unfold when Raffer tries to make those plays on Variety, for example.
I really like him on Fafnir for that exact reason. He just seems to always be willing to be right in the thick of things, and no one really looks at him because they know they can't, because he's just a little bit too slippery on a god like Fafnir that can be played aggressive. A lot of Fafnirs play a little bit more defensive, but I really enjoy the way that Raffer brings his own play style to a very popular god like Fafnir.
And Raffer has always done that with his own god pool. Adapting right side, the rest of the team Dignitas on the left outside of Variety. So 3 players strong as NRG on the right, and that's Gold Fury. Easy as Sunday morning. Team Dignitas just picking that one up nice and clean. SMITE 101. You're too heavy on the right, you got to pick up the left.
And Zeros does Raijin 101, which is go up in the ultimate, use the first shot to fear away anyone trying to steal your objective, and then use your damage shot in order to confirm it. That's just textbook SMITE by Dignitas right there.
Love to see that really go down, because we're talking about NRG, 2-time defending world champ, and I was kind of giving them credence because of how well they execute intense plays. Right now they're on the other side of it. Raffer likely to fall down, but goes in the ultimate to avoid the taunt. Kivo Fred still on the chase. A couple of basics will confirm it, but can't find it. Instead, it's adapting, saving the life of his support player. Taunt in, Variety in trouble. There's a nice shell to save the life of the solo lane, and now Maniac's the one on the bad end of things, as well as Yaman. There's the drums of war, and Cubo Fred puts number 5 on the board.
But Emilito's coming around the back, looks for variety with those stuns. Ricochet doesn't quite find a home, and now Emil doesn't have enough damage to continue this fight. Meanwhile, Arkil is just farming up in mid lane, continuing to try and catch up to Emilito.
Such an important wall coming out from adapting right there. You catch that blocking zeros. If that wall doesn't come through, then Emilito's getting collapsed on by 4 different players. The wall separates it, keeps it separate, and adapting saves the life of his teammate.
Well, that whole engagement starts because of a perfect wall by Trixtank. Puts him next to one of those rocks in the jungle, and all of a sudden, Raffer can't dash, can't move, gets stunned, and a quick reaction by Cubo Fred to find the Nemesis ultimate in response, because you want to use that right before your damage comes through. You want to get as much use out of that protection strip as possible. So good work between those two longtime teammates, gets that whole engagement started. But Yaman does a nice job this time transforming into the Erlong Shen. It finds that extra taunt on a variety that ensured that they were going to stay, as many of his teammates could stay safe. Now, as is usual, he's the one who gets punished. Good intentions usually do. But at least instead of losing Raffer and Yaman and potentially someone else, NRG only lose 1 member.
We always talk about the difficulty of playing the Morrigan is being actually able to play the rest of those characters, but also in the nick of time kind of coming up with what's the best solution to the scenario. It's this in about 0.5 seconds time with 9 options on the board. Figuring out that solution is I think that might be the hardest part about playing a good versus a great Morrigan.
I absolutely agree. That's the thing that always impresses me the most is whenever you find someone who's low HP in the middle of a fight and all of a sudden your Morrigan transforms into Khepri and saves them and somehow managed to process all that and then do it, because it's not easy to find Khepri on the scroll wheel. You know, you gotta go through that whole process, and you see a lot of players misclick, and can't really blame them because that is not an easy task to kind of handle.
That's just hours in the gym, you know, just doing it over and over again. And it's one thing to get the character on your team, right? We see the Erlong Shen. What really impresses me is when, you know, they made the plan. When we see the Raijin transformation for the Fear, I'll go out of my mind, because you can go into this one saying, all right, I have these 4 options, here we go. It's when you start using the others' teams against them that's really, really a lot of fun. Which is maybe another reason why we see the Amusement Cup. We talked a lot about how AMC is very strong, one of the better dual characters, and here in today's meta, he's not under as much stress as he normally is, which usually keeps him out of the pick selection process. He also doesn't have a fantastic team fight evolving ultimate.
You don't want to spend 10 seconds as Amusement Cobb. Yeah. You want to spend the entire team fight as Amusement Cobb, because it's consistent damage. That really goes for a lot of hunters.
Not Hou-Yi, I'll drop the Suns.
Hou-Yi, you can drop the Suns. Medusa, you can use the Petrify. There are exceptions to the rule, but you're right. And also, Cucullin can kind of fit that role. I believe you transform into Cucullin with minimum rage, so you're never going to get benefit out of that entire kit. So Warrior is usually a very popular transformation option for Morrigan players. Cucullin, not really a good one.
Trixtank, obviously, on the Terra. Quite a different story. But Team Dignitas, I think, did anticipate a little bit of the Morrigan. AMC coming as the last pick, as he should. Characters like AMC, and I'll bring up Anubis, strong characters, but the Achilles heels, they're incredibly easy to kill. You have to select them, if not last, very close to the bottom because of how threatened they can be.
I mean, this AMC looks threatening. All the AMC skins recently have been so cool, man. And I really like that we're getting a chance to see him played in the SPL again, because I think that he has so much going for him, and to have one large Achilles heel but be the only reason that he doesn't see competitive play just never really sat right with me. He does so much for a team composition. I mean, you need someone who's going to burn objectives. AMC's near the top. Someone who's going to knock down those towers quickly. Same sort of deal, near the top. He can duel better than just about anybody else. He can team fight really well if he can stay safe, and he shreds carries. He shreds tanks. He does everything you need a hunter to do, except he's left-handed, which is some bias against us left-handers.
Never mind.
There is bias there, man. I'm telling you. Some hunters don't like him because he shoots from the left, but there's nothing wrong with being lefty.
No, absolutely not. No, it's cool that he's lefty. I
agree. Lefties are the coolest.
In video games, not in real life.
Especially in real life.
No.
Hey, Tom, you know which hand is my dominant hand?
I don't.
It's my left hand.
Oh, wow. Look at that. Not cool. Ryan's a lefty. Things seem to add up here.
This backfired.
It really did.
I thought it would go better than that.
You walked into wall straight up. That's how you handled that one.
And I'm AMC. Left-handed, it doesn't have a leap to get over it.
One of the things that I think has also kept AMC out of competitive play, he's damn hard. Creating a network of hives that's, one, going to kind of stop being not toppled by the enemy at every opposition, and also positioning incredibly difficult when you don't have an auto escape button, right? He's just really hard to play, and I think that sort of kept him out of the public eye as well.
No, yes, I agree. He does have some small intricacies to that kit, and the honey certainly one of them. Using that at the right time, because it's very mana costly. You can't just be throwing honey out left and right if you're not going for Transcendence. Raffer chooses the right route to dash away from a nice stun from Trix Tank. There are some intricacies to that kit, but the good AMC players, you'll see them use their hives effectively, and more importantly, throw out Stinger as often as possible.
No trouble for the NRG squad as they're caught up in the right side of the map, but it's Maniac and Raffer really that are caught, so they're relatively tanky. Ultimate out of Raffer does just barely a little bit of damage. And we're seeing the defensive options come out, not just in the mid lane, but also on the Hunter position. You can see after two of the stronger items for AMC, the Devo Gloves and the Executioner, being built into what I can only imagine would be a hide of the too many urchins.
I think that this makes more sense to me than on the mid mages. Is hold that thought, is Dignitas is going to pull this Gold Fury, and
they're just going for it.
NRG has absolutely no idea.
I mean, this is look how quickly this objective being shred because of exactly what we've been talking about for the past couple of minutes about AMC's ability to just shred these objectives. Once you get those 70 stacks of Devo Gloves online next to your power boots, a little bit of penetration, you're just able to crush it. Critical strike if he goes down that road. You just delete these objectives. It's way too powerful. So, I mean, with two of them already, 17.5 in, just over it. Team Dignitas leading by about 4,000 gold plus.
So both members of Dignitas, of the damage-dealing carries between Zeros and Arkell, going for Hide of the Urchin. And as I was about to say, I think I like it a little bit more on the Hunters than I do on the mid laners, because Hunters can stay in the thick of the fight much longer than mages can. You've got lifesteal, you've got ranged auto attacks that you don't need your cooldowns to be up in order to fight as a hunter. You do as a mage. You can't really just be sitting in the middle of things storing autos, because then you're going to die. So getting that defense to be able to stay longer in the middle of things and use that lifesteal to stay healthy enough to continue the fight makes sense to me. On these mages, I know I've been pretty vocally against it. As a whole, I do think there are options where it's good, and this is one for Zeros.
When you're ahead.
When you are ahead, because you've already got a fully stacked Book of Thoth, you're already level 15, you are ahead in XP among just about everyone else on NRG outside of the Hunter and Solo Laner, which is to be expected because they get so much solo farm, and now you can just rely on your base damage from your abilities, which should be fairly leveled, in order to deal the majority of your damage. You're not relying on those items quite as much.
Roddy caught up, hit by the double tap, and a little bit more after that brings him down relatively low, but a strong knock up. I thought he had teammates on the way, but not the case at all. Instead, he gets knocked up, taunted, spun around, and now finally here comes Trix Tank. Maniac not going to be able to catch up. Raffer going all the way. Tail whip, sickening strike, and the ultimate. Pop, pop.
No, he jumped it. He jumped it. He's out of there. Now Variety should survive, and Raffer certainly will not. Well-timed by Variety. Raffer knew he only needed a little bit of damage from that lurking in the waters, but you can't insta-pop it. There's a time that you have to wait for that charge until you can open it up, and Variety, well-versed on the Sobek character, plays a decent amount of it in the solo lane. Is able to time it perfectly.
That is a cold, hard read. There's no tell whatsoever on that Sobek unleash. No. It's just, all right, when is he going to hit me?
Now.
And, like, if you wait the entirety of it, then we've all seen the timing. But that, one of the more impressive things I've seen Variety do, just guessing and coming up right. Well done.
Really close by Zeros. Almost Mezd adapting out of his hammer throw. Just wasn't long enough duration. Portal Demon falls pretty low, but here comes Emil around the back.
And that's going to stun 4 separate players. Zeros looking to cause havoc as he taunts adapting towards him. The rest will be beached out. Arkell now looking for Emilito. Tagged up by the Raijin. Tons of noise, and there's the second Thor dunk. Emilito takes care of Arkell. And now still Cubo Fred in trouble. In fact, he's going to be able to get taken down to the fountain. Adapting puts number 3 on the board for NRG as they cut Team Dignitas's kill lead in half.
Really good positioning by Emilito there. He's what enables all of that for NRG. Adapting finds a 4-man dunk, but it's because everyone from Dignitas grouped up to make sure Emilito wasn't going to be able to solo one of them out. Then comes Yaman with the second Thor ult, but where's Emil? He's still in the back line, swinging away. Level 19 on this Hu Yi. He didn't go for defense. He went Xe into chin size, so he's doing plenty of damage to everyone on the entirety of Team Dignitas. Really well positioned, only because he knew his team would be there to back him up. Even if you only have one Thor ult, Emil's probably considered out of position. If you don't have any Slammy Global ults, Emil just dies outright in that scenario. But that is such great situational awareness to know exactly how much help he can have and then to trust his teammates to be there with it. And of course, you don't become 2-time defending world champions unless they're going to be there for you.
I've always called it the buddy system. NRG are never in a spot where they can at least yell help and at least one person shows up. That's something I've noticed throughout the course of their career, collective career, Maniac joining the squad. But when you see these guys get into trouble because Raffer's by himself diving back camps, he's doing that because somebody is invading red buff, not because he's just doing it by himself. These guys are never out of a stone's throw away from each other, and that leads to some really nice plays. Dignitas still leading as they do get that last objective. The Portal Demon does go the way of Team Dignitas, but a very close game here, 22 minutes in.
And those were important kills because you want to shut down these carries that have gone for the defense options. You want to make sure that they don't get to continue to free farm and get closer to the actual damage that they will soon need. Cuvo Fred fell in that little engagement. He's going a little bit more defensive with the Magi's Blessing to make sure he doesn't get one shot by Yaman.
That I love.
Yes, it's something a little bit more. It allows you to be more aggressive without costing quite as much gold. Pretty close, 2350, I believe, to the compared 2400 for the height of the Urchin. So pretty much the same, but you're getting a little bit. You're getting an open window to walk through some of the CC.
It's also more nuanced, more directed, right? When you buy a Height of the Urchin, it's just, oh no, don't hit me as hard. Whereas when you're buying that Magi's Blessing, it gets rid of crowd control. You're specifically saying, when Adapting tries to wall me, I'm still going to be able to run out. Raffer won't be able to pluck me. I'm not going to get Yamaned, right? As the game gets later and later, you got to worry about that stun potential out of the Morrigan. So with this item and then paired with the Katana, Cuvo Fred is just saying, I'm always moving. I will never be stopped, and that's kind of what he's looking for. I like that choice a lot more than I like the Urchins, but I will say again, going back to your point earlier, if you're ahead, it just makes you more ahead.
But now that Dignitas lost the last engagement, lost a little bit of gold after getting that Portal Demon, does this open the door more for NRG? Because now they only have to worry about a 1-stack Urchin for Zeros and for Arkil, and they've been building damage. So they're going to be able to punch through that 1-stack where it's not quite as effective, whereas if Dignitas had maybe gone for damage, they could kill them.
NRG started the Gold Fury just in the face of Team Dignitas, like Dig did to them last time and, well, the time before. Dig shows up, forcing the leash and forcing the death on Adapting very easily. 4-man group up. This is going to be Yaman taken to the sky as a Thor. And that should cause Dig to spread out. Yaman misses Variety, who stands still, and now they're looking to punish the Morrigan. Knock up and taken care of. Cuvo Fred, number 2.
Stun misses there. Actually does hit Maniac as Emilito drops the Suns. Variety does a good job of zoning him away, and there's the commit right on top of him. Emil crippled because of that AMC Stinger. Variety gets credit, but it was a team effort from Dig.
This is Zero's getting his Raijin juice back, right? We see a couple of these players. I feel like everybody wound up playing Raijin when he was the straight-up burst character, but there was a couple that really stood out. I think of Zeros, I think of Herwind, and whoever else besides the point. But the point is, as we see Raijin come back, you see these players get more and more used to playing aggressively and using that dash for control. Maniac doesn't even need to be controlled by the dash this time. Variety takes it. Puts number 10 up for Team Dignitas. Fire Giant continued. Raffer looking on.
And now this is where that Height of the Urchin feels phenomenal because you just got a ton of stacks and you're super tanky, and Raffer is not going to be able to do anything, even if it wasn't a 1v5.
Yeah. I always liked that choice. Now here, Adapting, being zoned out by Trix, takes to the sky. Just stop. Yeah, just walk away. Trix tank controls, takes care of the aggro, and just now we push forward. Adapting on the floor. Textbook play.
Zeros does get stunned, but not worth committing any hammer there because Adapting knew that probably would have gotten jumped on right away. Fire Giant goes to Team Dignitas after a lengthy pull by them. Now they're going to go for the Portal Demon on the backside. I love how well Cubo and Arkill have been working together. These two have been next to each other, and that's not what you really expect Assassin and Hunter normally, but especially whenever it's Nemesis, super mobile, can get in and out, and AMC. None of those things. But you saw how much damage there was onto Adapting off the Nemesis ult, AMC ult combination. Adapting beats, thinking, okay, I can just beat the cripple and hammer away, and I died from 60% HP, and that's the kind of burst damage that Arkill can provide if Cubo Fred's going to be stripping away those protections for him.
Yeah, it's a really big deal, and I love the way the Team Dignitas have really been working together as of late. You mentioned how long that Fire Giant pull was. Sometimes it's got to go that long, and they did exactly what they need to do. A lot of teams look to sort of rush that under pressure. Team Dignitas, I think that sequence was very telling of what kind of team they are.
Controlled.
Yes, just always controlled. I don't know if always calm is what I want to say with Cubo, Fred, and Trickstang on that squad, but controlled, absolutely.
They're a bunch of veterans. I mean, they've been around for so long. They've been in situations where they have 2 minutes straight of having the Fire Giant pulled and everyone coming in and out. So these guys know what they're doing, and they're applying that veteran experience very, very well.
Man, they just, there's a lot of analysis that can be done, but sometimes you just want to sit back and say they look so damn good. Like, that's what this game has been for me, is just watching Dignitas execute and execute and execute and execute. NRG are held at 3 kills at 27 minutes, and that is an impressive feat by itself. Team Dignitas starting the party on the right-hand side. Trickstang in trouble, could be the first to fall, and will. Emilito puts number 4 on the board. As soon as I mentioned, they're stuck at 3. Jumping away is the Hunter, but Raffer stuck very low. Emilito sticking around to look for the stun to save the life of his very support. And on the back end comes Adapting. Wraparound is going to be Yaman in secret, and he looks for the stun. Emilito gets the kill.
But look at the damage that Dig puts out. Cubo survives because of a good shield. Now Zeros gets pinned by Maniac, but it's only 2 frontliners who aren't going to be able to grab him. NRG defend their Phoenix. They get a couple of kills, 2 for 1 in their favor, but most importantly, their base is still unbreached. They still have that Phoenix up.
Absolutely a win. Tier 2 tower, nobody was defending that whatsoever. Wasn't even considered part of the sequence, if you ask me. That was Team Dignitas sieging, trying to get a Phoenix. Instead, they lose 2 players for the price of 1 on the side of NRG Esports, and who do not lose a Phoenix whatsoever. There was a great play coming out from NRG. Kind of brought to you by Adapting.
It was Adapting. It was a little bit of an overcommit by Dignitas. It was Emilito as well. I mean, he shredded through Trickstang. Trix never got an option to impact that team fight whatsoever because of how quickly NRG was able to single him out and bring him down. Dignitas was just a little bit too far back, or you could make the argument that Trickstang was just a little bit too far forward. If you ask Zeros, I think I have a guess on which one he'll tell you. But either way, NRG do a good job of recognizing that because it wasn't an egregious error. It wasn't Trickstang all alone underneath the Phoenix.
That's a small error.
It was just a slight overstepping of his bounds, and Emilito and the rest of NRG capitalized.
This is what we're talking about when we're looking at 2 of the best teams on the planet. I mean, Team Dignitas, I think, have solidified themselves, for my money at least, as the team to beat. And NRG have done that for the past 2 years. So I mean, this is the pinnacle of competition here, I think. Arkill here seemed to have finished his build at 4 items, and then went for 2 defensive options. 1 just straight up damage reduction in the Urchin, and then a conditional one when he gets crowd controlled.
He really doesn't want to get killed by Yemen.
Yep.
That's what this build is. Yemen, please don't one-shot me is what the name of this build should probably be. And while I understand that there's a lot of pressure that the Morgan can put onto these squishy characters, I feel like if Dignitas were to just build aggressively and try and push down the game, they have that window of opportunity right now. Tom, they're up 9,000 gold.
Woof.
The Morgan is almost done with Rod of Tahuti, but even when that happens, he's still only level 18. He only has 4 items after Rod of Tahuti's done. Rangda's Mask only has 3 stacks. You're not in one-shot territory for another 12 minutes, probably, from the Morrigan. if Arkil builds damage, and just tries to group up and end the game with Dignitas, you don't give the Morrigan the opportunity to one-shot you. And honestly, even if it gets to the point where you build damage and the Morrigan does start to one-shot you, you can sell an item for Spirit's Robe at that point. I think I'd rather see Dignitas go for the aggressive route initially, and then if that sort of window of opportunity for Yemen starts to open up a little bit more, then you can start to build around that potential. But it's just not there yet for him.
I'd like to see that Titan's Bane come out, especially knowing that there's still 2 towers in the middle lane, another tower on the left-hand side. There's still work to be done here. Variety in trouble, and the flip is going to be negated because of that passive from Terra.
Nice Aegis.
Slowed down, right side. Bit of a half fight here.
Really nice Aegis there. It's only a half fight because Yemen immunes the damage from the Nemesis ultimate. You can Aegis Nemesis ult. That's what we saw there. You still get slowed, you still get your protection stripped, but not that big chunk of damage that Cubo was looking for.
Well, Portal Demon pulled, let go. Fire Giant accidentally pulled, still just raging around. Going to knock up Arkil. That's a big deal because, well, that didn't proc his Spirit Robe, but something else did. So that's on cooldown for another 10. Nice slice and dice from Cubo, just cutting down the HP of the guys on NRG. Big stun. That might mean a commit. Trixtank certainly thinks so, but the rest of Dig playing it safe.
There's the ultimate from Trixtank. Is into the backline goes Yemen, and right as he de-transforms, looking for Arkil, but Zeros finds him first.
Big taunt coming out from the Arlong Shen as well. Maniac making big plays, but Raffer isolated on the back end. Dig collapse, take him down like a bug zapper. Variety on the good side puts number 14 for Team Dignitas.
Adapting, forced to retreat with his ultimate. Dig have the 5v3 advantage now, and Variety the only one low. He can back to base if necessary, but there's a good call. Get this Portal Demon. Now everyone can back and heal up and burn down this Fire Giant quickly.
NRG isolated themselves there. That was the problem. NRG, every time we give them credit, it's because they're grouped up or they're playing as a team. And the second they isolate themselves, Yaman goes too far by himself. Raffer goes to help him, but that's kind of just lemmings into the slaughter. Yaman was already dead by the time Raffer found himself behind enemy lines. They're the 2 that fall down before the 2 that fall down in the neutral camps. Portal Demon, Fire Giant, Team Dignitas.
The way that Yemen has used this Thor ult has been really, really cool. He's waiting until the transformation is about to end, and then he's going up into the Thor ult. And then, because it won't change you while you're in the middle of an ability like that, it allows him to get into the back line, find a stun, and then he's immediately Morrigan again.
Double stun?
He's not wasting any time at all to get the true damage out, because yes, Thor's going to do great damage in the late game, but not Morrigan level. You want that one-shot capability, so he's using this Thor ultimate and transformation in general as a way to immediately get into the back line and then de-transform. Problem is, he needs that mobility that Thor has that the Morrigan doesn't, because everyone on Dignitas is always looking for where Yemen is.
And the second the Morrigan shows her face, Dignitas are just turning, collapsing. That's one of the things that Team Dignitas does very well, is target swapping. They call a target, and like a machine, they all just go, where? Okay. They all look at him and they just take him down. I want to bring up a point about Yaman's build, though. Now, these are very common mage items. I'm not saying that he went out of the way to build them, but the Rangda's Mask specifically, in a world where everybody's building protections, extra protections, Yaman has extra penetration. Now, you're going to build Spear of Desolation sometimes, not always. It's dependent on the game. When you're behind, we usually see mages go in a different direction. He sticks to it, knowing it's getting extra penetration. It goes the Obsidian Shard, which is standard, and the Rangda's Mask as well. Extra penetration for these extra defensive options. Do you think that's the thought process there?
Like I mentioned, the Rangda's Mask gives everything you could ever want as a damage dealer between movement speed, cooldown reduction, and penetration, outside of the power, of course. Problem is, you need to be able to stack that Rangda's in order to get that penetration. You're only getting movement speed and cooldown reduction per stack. Whenever you complete the Rangda's Mask is whenever you get that big benefit of the pen. So sitting at 3 stacks doesn't really do a lot for Yaman, but this is a pretty standard Morrigan build. I do like the fact that he didn't go right into Polynomicon right after Spear of Desolation, as we see some players do, knowing that he's going to need that extra penetration against those defensive options. As you mentioned, for the side of Team Dignitas, now working what's going to be a poly. Once that's completed, is one-shot territory. That's where the Spirit's Robe for Arkil. That's where the Aegises are going to be very important for Team Dignitas, and the Purification Beads as well, because you need both against the Morrigan if you want to survive.
So at what point does he get rid of the mask?
Whenever he's done with Polynomicon and he's ready for at least tier 2 of his next item. It's not worth it to sell it for tier 1 of whatever will replace it. You need at least enough stats to warrant getting rid of that extra little tiny bit of movement speed.
Dignitas now up a fantastic amount of gold, looking for the left side Phoenix. Arkle, that's who we're riding along with. There's the ultimate out of a slew of different players. Now Trixting in trouble as he goes very deep and adapting on the back end. Can't find the jungler. Instead, it's Cubo Fred that takes care of one. Variety takes down Adapting, and Team Dignitas forced off of the objective. But everyone at NRG forced down. They see the writing on the wall. Game goes to Team Dignitas this time.